Hello, you're listening to part 2 of a 3-part discussion on Kingdom Hearts. From here it's going to get quite spoiler heavy, so if you want to remain spoiler free, I would suggest watching the first video if you haven't done so already. But for those who want to stay, enjoy. Let's jump straight jump straight into the spoiler talk then.
Okay.
So
we're
ahead.
gonna go through this world order first and then overall stuff. Ooh, Olympus. Already not a good start for the game. You feel thrown right in, nothing's really happening. You have a talk with Hades and stuff is kind of like, you're thrown all over the place.
I did like that you explored Thebes as well.
Yeah,
because it's just called Olympus. I wasn't expecting that. I was just assumed you'd be climbing the mountain, and then I was hoping you'd explore the world of the gods at the top, which you end up doing. So when you suddenly end up in the town, I was like, okay, actually, I like this. This is nice.
There's a few parts that are really awkward, like when Herc randomly throws the statue of him.
Oh, yeah.
Like then all of a sudden, oh, the girl's saved. It's like you don't really get good transitions in this game. Everything feels quick to the like punch without like a good build up.
Yeah, that transition was pretty poor. I remember thinking like, because he just lobs it up into the sky, and then next scene, Sora's just standing there with the little girl as she thanks him. And I was like, oh, okay, right.
Something that felt weird. Phil was there. Phil was majorly advertised for this game as well. He has not one line.
Well, that happens a few through the games. Phil's not even the worst example of that. It's the there are some organization members that don't have any lines when they should do. And it's really...
I forgot who it was. It's originally who Zaldan is. I think Dylan, that's his name. Like he has the black hair dude long, and he has like the neck beard kind of. Yeah,
and then the ginger haired guy who's like the other guard, basically, the other handsome apprentice guard.
All you see for any response they give, they nod, and then they're done.
They nod and smile, and they put their hand slightly out.
I slightly listened to hear if they made a grunt at least. Not even a grunt.
Yeah, not even a grunt. It was just like, this is poor. What's going on? And I felt like that just happened. It happened less and less as the Disney Worlds went on, but the Phil one was actually one I was aware of before going in, because I'd seen someone tweet about the fact that Phil has 0 lines in this game, and I was like, oh no, that's not good.
It felt like Zeus was supposed to have more in this game, but then he has one line at the game at the end.
At least he has a line. I was almost convinced he wouldn't get one.
The Colosseum is not there.
Yeah, that's
something that's been a staple for any Olympus world. There is not one Colosseum. Even at least like Birth by Sleep or another game, you would go through like a fake tournament.
Yeah.
But like, there's nothing here for that.
There's no Colosseum. I understand the Colosseum not being a part of the main story, but it could have at least been an attraction in Thebes. Like, after you've gone back to... Because when you go back to Olympus, after you've beaten it for the first time, the city Thebes area, there are now people walking around, they're trying to fix stuff. Certain sections that were blocked off because of all the rubble have now been cleared. And like, I like that things had changed a bit there, and they could have had like a Colosseum minigame somewhere, because it's not like it's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, you could have even done it like up by like the land of the gods. Like it'd be like this nice fancy-ish look.
Yeah, I mean that final arena where you fight, like the very end, right, when you're about to fight the Titans, would have worked perfectly for an arena, but they just don't. It is weird.
That really threw me off, and I thought they were gonna do more in the game. When you fight the Rock Titan, you get like Magic Mountain as like a little special attraction flow just for this boss. Nothing like that ever in the game. This is the one special attraction.
I mean, the Magic Mountain comes back at a later boss fight, in the Keyblade Graveyard.
But like even then, I feel like there should have been more special ones for like special bosses, so like it helps make attractions feel more unique.
There wasn't that many. To be honest, there isn't that many special bosses. One thing overall in the bosses I feel like in this game is once you've done Hercules, almost every single boss you fight at that point is like an original, just a Heartless, not like an actual Disney villain. Pirates of the Caribbean is the sole exception where you do get to fight Davy Jones.
I'm surprised there's no fight with Hades. There's not. There's no conflict. Like, it seems at the end, like after you finally beat the Tornado Titan,
the Wind
Titan. He like gets all hyped up. Is like, hey, I'm gonna finally take you down, Sora. Nothing. There's not one conflict there.
I kind of understand from a gameplay perspective because it's the first level and you just went through like a boss marathon of fighting the Ice, Fire, and then Wind Titan. So then to fight Hades straight away might seem a bit too much. But I feel like other worlds, like I haven't seen Big Hero 6. It's the only Disney film I haven't seen. But I don't see any reason why you wouldn't fight the villain from that game, except for the fact that I'm assuming they didn't actually cover the movie story in this game.
We'll get to Big Hero 6 eventually, but like the main thing is that's a sequel to the movie.
Okay.
Basically. Like villain was already like taken care of in the movie, basically.
Okay. That's actually something, I mean, just to cover all the worlds very briefly, I quite liked in this game, is that except for Hercules obviously covers the very end of Hercules, which is the only part of Hercules that hadn't been covered yet, which is fine. And then Rapunzel, Tangled, and Frozen cover the movies, but every other world is like, and Pirates of the Caribbean, it's set during the same time as the third game, but you kind of don't follow that plot. You just have the beginning and end. But like every other world, Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Winnie the Pooh, Big Hero 6, they're all like set after their respective films are done. And I felt that helped them tie them better into the Kingdom Hearts stuff, in particular with
definitely
the Toy
out
Story
of the worlds. Definitely out of the worlds, I enjoyed those ones the most. And I don't know if this is true. This could have just been a rumor, but what I heard for Monsters and Pixar, there were actual like Pixar writers on it.
Oh,
I could slightly believe. Like phrases felt quotes and everything, lines from characters, they felt more like natural.
Yeah,
which is weird for Kingdom Hearts. You don't hear natural from Kingdom Hearts.
I can totally get that, because the Monsters Inc. world and the Toy Story world were definitely like two of the best worlds. Especially, I guess we can move. Do you want to cover Twilight Town in this? Like, do we actually want to move them all properly in that order?
Well, one last thing about Olympus.
Okay.
Olympus. I liked the Wind Titan. Wind Titan was fun. Rock Titan was okay. I felt like Ice and Fire was kind of just hodgepodged in. And like that little like spire in the middle, it's really awkward. They intend for you to walk up that. But like Sora couldn't even walk up it properly. Sora kept on going on and off of it.
See, what I did with that one, which I feel like might be what they meant, because they just taught you about focus jumping, where you go into focus mode and you press square and can jump towards stuff. Like, because they just taught me about that, it was the first thing I tried, and you can just focus straight up to them. And so that's what I did. I'd focus up, do a bunch of air attacks, do a combo attack, and then if I did fall off, I'd just focus back up. I never even bothered trying to run up the spire. And I feel like that's what their aim was. Like, I used focus jumping a lot in boss fights to get up close and personal with the bosses.
I used the focus point, I'm pretty sure, only at the Olympus part, and I think kind of Big Hero 6.
Yeah, well, I found it really useful in this game, with a lot of fights, as some we'll get to later. But no, I overall, I guess, if you had to rate Olympus out of 10, what would you give it?
I feel it's a nice introduction. It helps you feel at ease with the game, but like it kind of brought down Hercules as a whole. I would give it a rough 3 out of 10.
Wow, okay. Well, I was going to say, like, within the context of every world in this game.
Oh, every world.
Yeah.
Like, in comparison to every world, or like just this world as a whole?
Well, like, so if you had to think that your most favourite world was in Kingdom Hearts 3 was a 10, and your least favourite world in Kingdom Hearts 3 was a 1, where would Hercules and Olympus place in all of that?
Oh, yeah, I still stick with like the 3 or 4 out of 10. Hercules wasn't good.
Oh, fair. I wouldn't go as low as you. I would say it's more around the 5 or 6 sections. I enjoyed the areas they covered in Hercules. Like, yeah, it's a bit weird the Colosseum's not there, but after having so many games where it's just the Colosseum and maybe the Underworld in Kingdom Hearts 2, it was nice to get Olympus and the Gods World and Thebes. And I quite enjoyed I quite enjoyed all three of them as worlds, even if the Gods section is a bit small and has like really pointless areas in it.
Yeah.
But I didn't think Olympus was as bad. And I thought that even though it was weird that Phil never spoke, everything else is fine with all the other characters. Hercules is a good partner to have. Like, I think it's all good. Although it's also that world where we get introduced to the Maleficent and Pete subplot. That,
Wait, they had a plot in this game?
I guess we can go over that towards the end once it's.
I'm okay with jumping into this now.
If you want,
they don't need to be, they don't need to be in this game. They have no
they
point.
Don't.
They're like, "Where's this black box?" It's like, we don't know. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna look for it.
Well, they find a box, and then you never get to find what's actually in it. They find a box, and she's just like, "Oh, just get rid of it. It's not the one we're looking for." And it's like, okay, right, fine. So I guess this isn't mattering at all. And yeah, their whole story point, they interact with Sora like once on Olympus, where Pete makes a snide comment at him, and that's it. Yeah, the rest of the game they're not interacting with anyone. They just show up randomly, and they're like, the box isn't here, and then leave. And it's just why, other than just setting up for, I guess, the next game, why you even have Maleficent?
That's definitely what it was.
Yeah. And it's also Xigbar is I find it funny how he's the first organization member who shows up here in thingy, and it was also like, I guess, the big reveal for Xigbar at the end that I don't mind jumping to that as well. He's we can talk more about the epilogue right at the end, but the fact that he's Luxu, one of the original 6 apprentices of the Master of Masters, was something like I figured out really quickly in this game.
Yeah.
Like, I'd probably figured it out sooner had I remembered how Xigbar was, personality-wise, because I only really started following Key's story and back cover a few months ago in preparation for this one. So then as soon as I saw him and I saw how he acted and heard how he sounded, I was like, yeah, he doesn't really have any kind of purpose yet in this organization, and he sounds really similar to that one apprentice and the Master of Masters, so I wonder if he's actually one of them. And yeah, because I was right.
Kind of what they hinted at was that it's not his actual body or something, that like it's a body that's been passed down.
Yeah, it's like he's been doing this whole Xehanort thing where he jumps from, when his body gets old, he jumps to someone else and puts his spirit inside there, just like Xehanort did with Terra.
And with the whole Key story, the only thing I followed is that Ven's a murderer. That's all I've heard.
Ven's a murderer?
Yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but Marluxia, you know Marluxia. I don't remember his actual name.
Laurium is his actual name.
Laurium, apparently his sister, there's a theory about who killed him, and the only, his sister. The only one it points to is Ven. Is
it his sister? I haven't, because I knew that the girl that dies, yeah. But I didn't know it was...
That's Marluxia's sister.
Oh,
because,
okay.
What is it? I think both names are based on flowers, and then, like, it's even outright said in the story.
Is it outright said in Kingdom Hearts 3? Because I don't think it was said in Kingdom Hearts.
No, nothing's mentioned in 3. Like, the only key thing that's mentioned is the one silver hair dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one who's directly seen, but there are Ansem reports in Kingdom Hearts 3 that hint to stuff that's in Key. Like, there's an Ansem report from Xigbar that you can find afterwards that talks about how there was this one of the 5 people from Key, one of the new dandelions, tried to set about cleansing the world, essentially. He's specifically using the words like, he set himself out to be the virus that would destroy the old world and bring the new world. And in the mobile game, one of the characters called Brain says that like exact line. He says, "I'll be the virus that will help save us," or something like that. So people are being like, oh, so Brain is actually people started thinking Brain was the traitor, or he was going to be the one who did everything.
But then people are also looking at that from another perspective, is like, that seems like a red herring. What if Ven's the murderer? because you also have to remember, this is like, he's some kind of master or whatever, but this is also before Vanitas is taken out of him.
Yeah, well, this is before Xehanort even finds him in Birth by Sleep, so...
I also want anyone to know, whoever's watching this, we finished the game, we don't even know the story.
That's something we can complain about when we're talking about the epilogue and secret movie or the key stuff towards the end.
With Twilight Town's... You run through it and then it's like, okay, see ya, Sora.
It is a bit like that, yeah. That was the other one where the lack of voice acting slightly annoyed me, with Remy, who they just call Little Chef in this game for some reason, from Ratatouille. Like, they rescue him, just randomly rescue him on their way to the mansion, and he has no line of dialogue. He just mouths everything, and it's not like he could talk in the original movie, and I'm pretty sure he could talk to humans in the original movie, unless I'm just misremembering. So it just felt really weird how he doesn't make any noises in this game either, and just is all pointing, nodding his head, and they never call him Remy, they always call him Little Chef.
If I remember, it was similar. If I remember, that's what it was like in Ratatouille. Because I remember he talked to like all of his other rat friends, but like I don't think he ever talked to a human. Because I do remember the gestures very fondly. Like, Ratatouille, little Remy, he gives all his gestures in that. I don't think he ever talked to, like, any of the chefs or anything.
Maybe I'm misremembering because it's been a long time since I've seen Ratatouille. But I don't know, it was just one of those things, especially them not calling him Remy or just calling him Little Chef. But I guess if he could never give him his name, that's just what they had to call him. Don't know. I mean, Jiminy Cricket's a cricket. Why can't he speak to Rat?
And if we want to go right into it, since it's kind of connected, 100 Acre Woods.
No, 100... that's a non-world if I've ever seen one.
Oh, okay. If you want to get the base plot of Winnie the Pooh in this game, you do 3 minigames, which are all the same first minigame. And then Sora's like, whoa, my connection with Pooh's getting weaker. I wonder why that is. And then the world ends. Sora ends because he thinks Pooh hates him.
Yeah, it's fucking... He gives one thing just being like, oh, you know, it doesn't matter if we're not here because I'm still here in your heart and you're still here in mine. And I guess that's enough to have him reappear on the front cover again. and then it just ends and you're like, what? Like, the Winnie the Pooh world has always been the minigame world where you go to do the different minigames over the course of this game, and you just kind of go there optionally halfway through and do the same minigame 3 times in one area and then leave.
Which is really upsetting. Usually the minigames in, like, Winnie the Pooh are actually, like, fun little quick things.
Yeah.
It's one mobile game in this one.
Yeah, and actually, if we're going to be talking about minigames, the Classic Kingdom is pure trash. It's awful. I didn't touch it. I was so disappointed. It's like, I think it's a cool idea, having the Mickey Mouse Game & Watch games have some kind of representation, having them be the minigames. And the way you find them by watching the little black and white Mickey and Sora cartoon, and then getting the game code, I thought was really cool. But it's just so slow. Like, it starts off really slowly, and it's just really boring. And you have no motivation to continue it. And what makes it worse, what really pissed me off with it, is that if you actually want your score to count in those games, you have to keep playing until you die. So I played the bug shooting one, where you have to shoot mosquitoes that come from the sky, and it was probably the most fun one I've played, and so I got fairly into it, like 100-something points, before I was like, right, I'm getting bored, I want to stop this. So I paused it and went to quit, and then found out that because I had done that, it didn't save my score. So I'd had to go back into it, kill one bug, and then just let the others slowly kill me. But then when you die, the game doesn't kick you out, you're stuck on a static screen, and you have to press pause, and you have to go to quit, just like you would do to leave normally, but this time it now counts. And I was like,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? What is the point in this? And there are so many of these. There are so many of these games. I just couldn't be. You get a trophy for doing at least playing all of them and having a score be registered. And I just could not be arsed. It's just so long. It's so long to kill yourself in these games, and that's the problem.
What was it? With like cooking felt boring. There's the only perk was like, hey, you can get like 5 extra HP over a 20-minute period, but even then, you don't need it. The game's easy. Yeah,
I actually didn't know how to use the food that you made from cooking until the final boss in this game. Like, I didn't touch it at all. I just made food and then tried to use it at one point. Wasn't showing up in my items, so I just thought, fuck it, I'll figure it out later. Figured it out right as... Because one of the few times I died in this game was to the final boss. And so I thought, I'll go prepare. And that's when I saw, oh wait, what does cuisine actually do? But, I don't know, I like the food sections were okay because at least they were fast. So I didn't mind going to do them. They were over pretty quickly. But that's just the Classic Kingdom is not like that. The Classic Kingdom is long and monotonous and boring as fuck.
I guess the only other thing to really press on, since it's like the one original world in this game, there's no Final Fantasy characters. The only one you meet is Moogle. They're kind of hinted at in Hercules, like you see Cloud and Auron. No one else. There's not one. You don't see anyone from 15. You don't see anyone from 10. You don't see Cloud. You don't see Squall. You don't see anyone.
Don't see anyone from 13 either. Yeah, I know it's... They make references, actually, to Vivi and, his friends from Twilight Town. So one of the NPCs mentions how they decided to go on an adventure. And I guess that's to explain why they're not around. But other than that, it's
so weak.
It's just so Moogle, weak. And then slight references to Final Fantasy Dissidia in the Toy Story world.
And which, all the cutscenes that go to Radiant Garden 2, like you don't see one character from Final Fantasy. You don't see the whole Restoration gang or anything.
Yeah, we're talking about Radiant Garden and the Mysterious Tower. They show up in cutscenes, but you never actually get to visit them, ever.
Which is so weird. There's like old trailers that showed Mysterious Tower that you could fight in. It's like, but this isn't here. And there's even chests in those cutscenes. It's like, I will never know what's in that chest.
Yeah, no, that was what I was going to bring up. It's clearly stuff was cut or changed. They just felt there was no need to visit Mysterious Tower and have a fight there. But like, it just feels so weird because you see these locations and there are some basically non-worlds later on, like the Land of Departure and the World of Darkness, where you literally go, and like the World of Darkness has a whole title screen and everything when it first shows up, but the only thing you do there are 2 boss fights, just randomly throughout the game. And then Land of Departure doesn't even get a title screen, but you have more stuff to do there than World of Darkness. It's like, what the fuck?
I think there's a battle portal that brings you to World of Darkness, but that's it.
Oh, okay. It's just like... And then you can never revisit Land of Departure as well once you've done it, although I don't see why you would bother. It has a save point. You can never go back there. But I was just disappointed by that. Even if they're just small original worlds, at least it's something more.
If you want to go to one of the bright sides of this game, though, Toy Box. Toy Story is fun. Toy Story is real good.
Well, what's your final score for Twilight Town, I guess?
Oh, Twilight Town. You know how I rated Olympus at like a 3 or 4?
Yeah.
This is like a 2.
Yeah,
Twilight Town, I don't think had one good perk. And like even then, they try to talk about the story. Nothing important's mentioned. The mansion's there and everything. Can't go into anything. It's definitely like a 2. You can't go higher.
Yeah, no, mine would be 3 just because I like the visuals of Twilight Town, but other than that, it's very much a non-world. At least it was over pretty quickly so I could get back to the actual Disney stuff. But yeah, Toy Story World is by far the best world in this game. Or maybe it's the second best world for me. I still need to think about it. but from everything from when you first enter in Andy's bedroom to the music in the background, You Got a Friend in Me remix, and the fact that it's just like most of the world is in one location, which is the toy store. Like, you're only really in front of Andy's house for a little bit at the beginning. It means there are basically no loading screens, which is also a blessing.
Yeah, the place is huge. There's a lot to explore. You really do feel kind of minuscule. It's real good. You get to have like a little fun adventure with Woody, Buzz, and all of that. Sure, like some of the characters you feel like there could be more, but it gives enough where you don't want to ask for more. You already have a lot given to you.
Yeah.
You see like the joy of the toys like all working together. Buzz is like fighting with his inner self like he did in Toy Story 1. He was like, whoa, toys being controlled? No.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little story. I think the dialogue is really funny in Toy Story as well. The whole scene where you confront young Xehanort and Woody just gives him this massive smack talk and dispels the darkness.
Young Xehanort.
Amazing. It's my favourite scene in the whole game. It's just the scene where he's like, "Oh, I bet you just don't have any friends," and then he stamps down and the darkness dissipates. And
it's like a toy's heart's better than your heart. It's like, whoa, Woody, calm down.
I love it. It's just Woody is amazing in this stage. Even like the one where the comedic scenes where they're doing the frogs and he's running on the Sora's running on the record player, and then Woody joins him.
Yeah, it's such
and
a
they
small
accidentally
moment.
leave him there.
It's such a small moment, but I think that was like one of the best moments in Kingdom Hearts 3. Unironically, like it had the most Disney charm in it. It felt like the most Kingdom Hearts. It was like, and like even like the instruments, like they're playing Sora's theme.
Yeah, I know. That's
So
really,
like,
really nice.
Oh, this is really bright. I guess the only downfall of the world is like the boss right after that. Not the main boss. The main boss of this world was nice, but like there's this doll. It's just kind of there.
See,
like, it was nice. It was still a fight.
Yeah, it was a cool little subplot. I like them using different types of toys as enemies. Yeah. So you have the robots, the like mecha transformer ones. You have like the dinosaur toys, the dolls, the little soft toys that you can jump on and bounce off of. Like and the puppets. It's heartless.
Yeah, the puppets were cool because like it was this whole idea of like being controlled for like the heartless, and I think that was really nice.
Yeah, Toy Story World was also the only one I actually got lost in entirely. When you're looking for Ham the pig and you find the soldier first, from what I had taken away from the soldier is that someone had come along and taken Ham somewhere else. So I then left the shop and started exploring everywhere else, whereas actually he's just in the dollhouse opposite. But I spent like a good hour or so exploring everywhere around, fighting every enemy, getting all the save points and lucky emblems, trying to find this damn pig, and wondering like, is he in the video game store? How do I get into here? Trying to figure out ways to get in, and then he was just back where I started.
The part of the game I did like the most, was the whole VM Rex thing. So like a little backstory. This is an inside joke for Nomura as well. So you know the story of like Final Fantasy 15, right?
Yeah, started off as Versus 13, and it kept changing.
Back in 2006, that's when Nomura was leading what was to become 15. I forgot who the dev that originally took over 15, but basically Nomura didn't like it, and I don't like 15 either. 15's not that good of a game. Anyways, VM Rex was the whole jab at that, and it was hilarious.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is. It's like everything about Verum Rex screams Final Fantasy Versus 13 and 15, and there were clear, obvious signs of stuff that Nomura wanted to do. Like Nomura at one point wanted Final Fantasy Versus 13 to be a mech game, where you pilot mechs and fight each other, and that was clearly here in the Toy Story world, where the whole fighting gimmick is that you can jump inside mechs, and Verum Rex is a mech fighting game. And it's like so much what Nomura wanted to throw into Final Fantasy 15 and kept getting denied to do.
Yeah, like the whole Verum Rex minigame like that you get thrown into, that felt fun. Like it was a genuinely amazing experience.
Yeah, and it's really hard to get a high score on that game because there's a trophy that asks you to do it, and so I went to go and try and do it. And it's actually surprisingly difficult. You have to like really just keep up your combo throughout the entire fight, never lose your robot.
And you also
barely
gotta jump
take
into like
damage.
one of the higher robots.
Yeah,
Because like those give you a higher score in the first place when you take down opponents.
the prime ones. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's genuinely pretty fun. I think that the Verum Rex stuff at the beginning is the best introduction to any world because of how completely 100%. Caught off guard I was. Yeah, I was just like, wait, hold on, this is all like Nomura style original characters. It's just like, and because of how the game's been sort of functioning with the story, where Sora does a world and then you get like 2 cutscenes of other characters like Riku and Mickey looking at stuff, and then Kairi and Axel training, and other characters, just randomly interspersed. I thought it was one of them, but I was like, why are all these original characters suddenly being introduced? What the fuck's going on?
But then it's like, oh, it's Rex's like kind of subplot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is why I know you. It's like, oh.
Yeah. And I just, like, all the little meta jokes, it's like, oh, well, you're a video game character, so of course. Of course you'd believe all of this parallel world stuff.
So, like, what's your final rating for Toy Story?
Oh, I might just give it a 10. It might be like the top world in this whole game.
Yeah, that's me as well. It's a 10. I don't think you could rate Toy Story as anything else. It's such a great world. It's amazing. It's the best part of this whole game.
Yeah, and it's like really early on, so that's not a good sign.
And the thing is, we do get tangled up right away with the whole Kingdom of Corona. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually did Kingdom of Corona first, because I'd played a demo of Kingdom Hearts 3, which was in the Toy Story world. So I was like, well, I want to try what Kingdom of Corona was like. And I thought Kingdom of Corona was alright. I liked Tangled, the film, and I thought the way the characters, like Rapunzel and Flynn, interacted with the rest of the cast was pretty fun. And how they, like, the comedy stuff. My main issue, I think, my 2 main issues, is that the forest just goes on forever and takes up like 4/5 of that entire world. You're just walking in a straight line through a forest, basically, which isn't very exciting. And then Marluxia shows up and just does fucking nothing. It's just really confusing.
Yeah. My complaint's basically the same as yours. Like, the forest keeps on going, but also the story. The story's... I do like the interactions with Flynn, Sora, and all that. Like, hey, you're my bodyguard. And it's like, yeah. Like, that interaction's fun. That interaction's really, really fun. Problem is, if you haven't watched the movie, the world makes no sense. You need to watch the movie, or you don't understand why he has the satchel, what that crown is, why Flynn is randomly, like, tied to a boat. You don't understand that.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely written. I feel like some of the previous Kingdom Hearts worlds kind of had that issue in other games, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I knew what the story was, that and I knew this was obviously following the movie story, unlike Toy Story.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I've watched Tangled before. Like, I know how all that goes down, but like, if you haven't watched the movie, the world would mean nothing to you. Nothing would make sense.
Yeah, to be fair, that's true. That's very much the case. I mean, you lose them halfway through, and it isn't. I guess you have a whole minecart scene and everything that happens in the film just off screen, and then you come back with the horse. The horse is just there then.
A lot of the animation in this world is really nice, like seeing like cutscenes and like seeing how characters and enemies were animated. Like, if you see the Nobody, like with the little scythe that like when he like whooshes in, there's like a real smooth animation. It's like, this seems like a Disney thing now, and everything like fits really well. I guess the only thing of Tangled that, like, besides like the story stuff that I didn't really like, Sora and company seem like just copied and pasted in the movie scenes. They're kind of just shoved in.
I mean, they are like... kind of. I mean, that's always almost the case with the ones that cover the exact movie. Sora company miss out on all of the major scenes. Like, they just when Flynn and Rapunzel are talking in the tower, and Sora and Co are just outside it the first time, and then the second time they're in the tower, they're just sitting on the windowsill. after the boss
like
fight.
they're
And
watching
then,
the whole thing. And
yeah,
that's it.
and then the lantern scene, and they're just obviously they're not on the boat with Flynn and Rapunzel. They're just sitting on the docks off in the distance watching them. But I know they wore a handful of weirder stuff, like when Sora gets knocked out by Marluxia. Or no, is it Marluxia? Yeah.
Yeah, like
He just
put into,
knocks
like, a
Sora
little
out, and
sleep.
Sora's just knocked out for like hours.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the thing that wakes him up is the horse licking him in the face. And you'd think, maybe throwing water on him to wake him up is a thing Donald and Goofy should have done when they're sitting right next to a giant lake. And that's like the stereotypical way of waking people up. It's just a way to transition from night to day and keep Sora out of the whole rescuing Flynn from the dungeon. Like, that would have been a cool scene to add into there. Like, have it so that Sora, Donald, and Goofy go back to the castle to find Flynn and have to break him out of the castle.
There's a lot of major scenes that are just skipped out on, and it feels like just thrown together. The boss was alright. I feel the only part that was really weird about the boss was like when walls are randomly put up around you.
Well, yeah, that was a bit... I eventually figured out how to avoid it pretty easily, but yeah.
It just feels like an out there attack. It doesn't flow right. It's easy to escape and all that. It just doesn't feel like it should be there.
Yeah, well, it's because it usually just like when it happens that you like flash and it just picks you up from wherever you are and drops you somewhere, and then you have to make your way back to the tower, and it just kind of happens with no build up, and you can't avoid it. It's just always going to happen. It just seems random. But I quite liked the Tangled boss fight. I liked running up the tower.
Yeah, that felt really nice.
Slow
it felt
motion
all
and
good.
Again, I used the focus jump to jump straight towards the boss, and when you knock it off the tower and you're falling down, you can do a downward attack and do really big damage to the boss. Like, I actually quite enjoyed the Tangled boss fight.
Yeah, the Tangled boss fight was all fun and good.
Yeah. The sub-bosses are a bit naff. Like, you're just walking through to a sudden open area. Like, you're just walking through basically this narrow corridor, and then there's a sudden circular open area, and there'll be a cutscene where someone's like, "What's that?" And then, "Oh, this might be dangerous, Sora." "Oh, I'm sure it's fine. Go over. It's dangerous." And they do that three times.
Yeah, I thought the mid-boss was going to be real special, but then, like, on your way to the main boss, like, the sub-boss comes up again. It's like, it doesn't feel like it should be here. I thought it was just the sub-boss.
It's just a bit crap.
Yeah. So, rating for Tangled.
Rating for Tangled. I'd probably give it a 5. I like the Tangled story. I like the Tangled characters. It's just that the forest is just long and linear. When you're actually in the city and the dancing mini game and exploring around the town and all that, that's actually really fun. I really like that in that world. It's just the forest is way too long.
I'm kind of with you there. I'm putting out a good old 6 out of 10. I like the environment. Environments look real nice, but again, you need to know the movie or the world is nothing to you, really. Yeah, that's true. It's true. And a lot of it, like I said, is Sora and company just thrown in there. So, which one's the next one? Is it Monsters, Inc.? Yeah, next is Monsters. Next is Monsters, Inc. So, I did these in the opposite order. I did Frozen first and then Monsters, Inc. Ooh, I'm sorry for you. I'm real sorry for you. Yeah, well, that wasn't intentional. When I got to that new map, I saw the Frozen world first, and I didn't realize I jumped to a new galaxy. Because they're split up, aren't they, into like 3 separate galaxies. I didn't clock this. So what I saw with the Monsters world, because I came from Toy Story first, I just thought was the Toy Story world. So I couldn't tell the proper difference when looking at them. Just saw the Frozen one. I was like, oh, well, Frozen's next. Cool, I'll go over there. But no, Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. is a good world. Yeah, it's a lot of good fun. Yes. Like, not much of the areas are actually taken from the film. It's like all the beginning is part of the film, and then you almost instantly go to the door vault, and then you're suddenly in the back room, and the whole place just takes there in the weird, like... I don't even understand what they're making at this factory. You just... you got the scenes where the lasers are just going off everywhere. I think he was making, like, door parts. It seemed like he was making, like, the, like, locks for the doors. That's what it seemed like when I was passing through.
Yeah, because I'm going to say they can't be making the doors, surely, because the doors should exist already. So
the parts I did like, though, I didn't like the designs. I think Sora and company, I feel sure it's the only way you can make them look like monsters in that. But I felt like it was another Lion King, and I didn't like Lion King in like the previous game.
I don't remember. Apart from Sora looking like a lion, I don't actually remember what Goofy and Donald became. I remember what they wore in Atlantis, where Goofy's a turtle, and Donald's an octopus. I don't actually remember what animals they became though in Lion King.
I think it was turtle and like a duck, or like a swan, something like that.
Okay.
Donald flew.
Okay.
But I liked the world. The world was a lot of fun. The only thing I guess I didn't like was it was kind of linear. It was basically a straightforward path, and the designs were kind of weird. But besides that, I love the interactions between Mike and Sully. It was like the whole transition of like, hey, we're going to smiles now, we're going to laughs, not any of the good old scares, but like then the whole subplot being Vanitas being there.
Yeah.
Which something I love in this game is the interactions characters have with organization members. Like we kind of touched upon it in Hercules. Hercules actually talks to Zigbar. Like,
yeah, he does.
He throws some stuff back. Woody threw stuff back at young Xehanort. Like here we have.
Yeah. Sully deals with Vanitas.
Dude, Sully yeets Vanitas into a door, into another door, into another door, and then we also have to remember, that door. The kids have these doors now.
Some kid has just woken up with Vanitas in his room.
Hey, maybe it's a Vanitas fan for all two of them that are out there.
I thought that Vanitas connecting like thematically to Monsters Inc. world was really good, because so far like Zigbar's just kind of there, young Xehanort is there, they're like none of them fit. Marluxia's just kind of there,
like Marluxia with the flowers and that, but like that's a real push. But besides that,
Marluxia but Marluxia barely interacts with anyone in the Tangled world as well. Like he only interacts with Mother Gothel, yeah, whatever her name is. So like he never interacts with Flynn or Rapunzel. But Vanitas was being all about negative emotion in the world where they used to use negative emotion for energy, but now they use positive emotion. Fit just really nicely, and I really like that you actually fight the Unverse in this world and not just Heartless. Like it's the only world apart from the Keyblade Graveyard where you fight the Unversed just for that world, and I thought that was really nice.
I also want to connect this part. This is the only Disney world in all of Kingdom Hearts that opened up plot. In any other Disney world, in any other Kingdom Hearts game, Disney worlds mean nothing to the plot. This is the first time it has ever meant something, because this is when Donald and Goofy finally tell Sora about like Ven and all that. Like you get that big connection.
Yeah, I think this world, the different Disney worlds, not all of them, but some of them do connect to the plot in ways that no other Kingdom Hearts games. Like I'd argue that the Hercules world has some connection to the plot, as the whole reason for Sora to go there is to try and remember how to be a hero, and does that. And there's the little Zigbar section, and he goes through and he kind of remembers what it feels like and realizes that he's been looking at everything wrong. Like I think that the Hercules section is sort of plot focused. It's also the first Kingdom Hearts game where a Disney world is the first world you actually start in. Because, you know, every other Kingdom Hearts game, you start on Destiny Island, or Twilight Town, or the Land of Departure. Then this one you start in Hercules. And Toy Story, I'd argue, fits a little bit into all the Xehanort stuff, and his interactions with Woody and Buzz all have sort of story elements to them. But, Monsters Inc. is definitely the world that has the most out of any Disney world. And it's just nice that Sully and Mike are the ones that actually beat Vanitas in the end.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And the Vanitas is the reason why... what's his name?
Randall.
Why Randall's back. And everything like that. That was all really nice.
Randall being there seems weird. feel that's like the only other point that might bring down this world, but overall, the connection, the themes, and all that, it fits really, really well.
No, I think Randall being there is fine. I think it's better to have a Monsters, Inc. villain who's all about scaring people and all that be the main focus, and have Vanitas be the end twist almost as the actual villain of that world. I think that fits better because Sora's never actually met Vanitas before. And he's like very different from all. He's not a nobody. He's one of the two non-nobodies basically in the whole of the organization. So I like that. I thought that was pretty good.
So where do you set good old Monsters Inc. on your rating scale?
It would probably have to be I'd give it a 9. No, I think it's definitely the second best world after Toy Story.
Definitely sitting with you there. I do see it like the same 9 out of 10. It's still missing a bit to bring up to the 10, but like 9 out of 10, it's a good and fun world.
Yeah, so all the Pixar ones are getting the high marks.
And again, we slip on some ice and we go right to Frozen.
Oh god, I'm gonna come out. My Frozen is the worst world in this game. It's it's awful. The
random labyrinth that's thrown in.
Yeah, there's
not even a part of the movie. That's just there.
The entirety of Frozen World is that Sora climbs up a mountain twice to try and reach Elsa. Gets stuck in a originally created ice labyrinth that isn't part of any movie. And you talked about Sora and Co just kind of being copy-pasted into scenes in Tangled.
That was all
that is all it's got in Frozen. Like, at least he interacts with Flynn and Rapunzel, outside of one scene where he talks to Elsa, and one scene where he sits down with Anna after they've just met him. They don't interact with anybody. I guess there's Marshmallow, the big snowman, who's your partner, who comes in for the very end of the story. Like, he's basically in it for the final boss, and that's
Before I go into my negatives, I'm going to talk about my 2 positives of this world. The 3 positives. They're all very minor.
Okay.
I like the sledding. Sledding was cool. I wish it happened longer, but sledding was cool.
Sledding is fun, actually. Yeah, I agree.
I like the partner. Partner was unique. You don't really see like the little evil guy joining you. Having Marshmallow was fun. The boss of the world was fun. It felt nice. It was the best designed boss in my opinion. He looked the coolest and all that. He felt menacing.
I don't know. I disagree a little with the boss. I want to give a positive as well. Before we start destroying this world, I actually really liked that they did the Frozen songs, and I just thought it was real when Let It Go starts playing, and you just have Sora, Donald, and Goofy there. And it cuts to them throughout the song. I felt that was really funny, and I actually was amazed that they went all out and recreated it. And you can compare it to like the original, and it looks really spot on to the original film. It's just got the Kingdom Hearts lighting, but they even fixed some things from the original. Like the original has like some clipping issues with Elsa's transformation, which they actually fixed in the Kingdom Hearts version.
It also has an Arnold water mark.
What?
It has a watermark in this cutscene.
Does it?
If you go through, there's a frame of Elsa where you see the Arnold rendering watermark on her.
Wow, I didn't.
Again, this is a whole pre-rendered cutscene. It's like one frame, but it bugs you when you notice it. I rewatched the cutscene. I noticed it was like, god damn.
What part? What do you remember? What scene?
I don't. If you search Kingdom Hearts 3 render watermark, you will see it. It is there.
I might look for that now, just because that sounds hilarious. And I like that. And they almost did. They did a bit of "Do you want to build a snowman?" when Anna's sort of giving her backstory. Although that one's a little more awkward because Anna's like talking over it,
and you can't hear her.
Yeah,
she's struggling to like talk to herself. It reminded me of Sonic Adventure 2 cutscenes. Where you have one character that starts to talk over another and then the music's too loud.
Yeah, it was a bit weird, and I almost wish they had like waited till after she had finished talking, or like play the beginning of the song and then make the song really quiet and have her be the more dominant speaking, but they fucked it up.
This is also where I feel like combat was the absolute worst. This is where I really noticed the aerial stuff. Fighting those dragon guys, you stay in the air for way too long.
I managed to get them down pretty quickly, but to be fair, my favourite Keyblade in this game that I use for like a third of the game is the Shooting Star.
Oh, I use Shooting Star too.
And so once I realised how powerful Auto Shot was, whenever the dragons came, I would just shoot at them until they fell.
Yeah, that's what I had to keep on doing, because otherwise I would be in the air attacking with my Keyblade. I was like, nah, let's get my form, and then I do use Auto Shot from a distance.
No, I didn't mind that. I mean, it's just such a boring world. Just like you climb up the mountain twice for you go up, fall off, climb back up again, fall off again, and you're almost about to do it a third time, and I was getting really angry, annoyed at this point, just being like, I want to see actually something else than just a snowy mountainside. And then thankfully they spot hands and they decide to go down to the city and have just a really random wind segment that's there for one area and then it's gone. And then, like, what I feel like is the worst transition boss ever in any Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah, I can agree with you that part. Like, getting the transition there, it's weird. And I think you lightly tapped upon it. Hans, you see him run, and then that's the frame you see of him. He is never there again. No,
he's lying down on the floor because they have the scene where he goes to stab Elsa and Anna gets in the way. But he also doesn't have a lion hands. He just like, it's just like they see him and they're like, this guy's got darkness around him. And then he gets knocked down by Anna. And then the darkness just kind of leaves him, goes over to Sora and co, and just pulls them into this nothing world. And then the fucking Marshmallow just shows up. Like, he's not pulled in with them. Sora, Donald, and Goofy are all pulled into this world, and the boss shows up, and they get this cutscene, and then just as soon as it's about to fight, you just see Marshmallow just kind of stroll in to this nothing world, and just joins you for the fight. And it was like, what? Hey, where did you come from? And also, what is going on with this boss fight? It has nothing to do with anything in this world, other than, I guess, it's vaguely ice-themed. But even then, there's no freezing attacks. He just drops, like, ghost wolves at you, and then almost
the
like...
ghost wolves, dude.
And then it just, like, tries to freeze everything and blow up the fucking world.
But I think we both agree for Frozen's rating, it's like a 0 or a 1.
Yeah, I give it a 1 just because I don't want to give anything a 0. Other than that, I like Larxene as an organization member, but the whole ice dungeon is just... I feel like the only reason it's there is so that the whole world isn't just a random mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, why? You could have gone to some place. You could have had a giant that had the giant ice lake. You could have had Arendelle itself. You could have had even the place with all the trolls from Frozen. Or you don't even get to go inside Elsa's palace at all. It's just you see it in one cutscene, and just again Sora not interacting with basically anything in this world. Like, everything goes by normally, and Sora is just there for some scenes.
Hey, after that, it's another good high peak. We get the Caribbean. Caribbean's fun. Caribbean's great.
Yeah. I like the Caribbean.
One thing, it's still not Johnny Depp voicing
I know,
Captain
but
Jack.
It was never
but
gonna
it's
be.
a real good impression if you compare it to what we heard in Kingdom Hearts 2. This at least sounds like good old Captain.
Yeah, the only one of the voice actors that I didn't feel sounded like their original was Keira Knight, whoever's replacing Keira Knightley.
Yeah,
as Elizabeth. She just had a British accent, and that was it. It's like she didn't sound anything like her. She was just British as well. But I really liked the Pirates of the Caribbean world. I like how it starts with them accidentally falling off World's End, and then you have the scene where you're chasing after the Black Pearl, and they just run into Jack, who's also chasing after, and you team up for that like little segment. I like the actual ship combat, the race. Like, this is the Pirates of the Caribbean world is like the only world where I feel like an organization member actually does something.
Definitely. It feels like honestly, this whole world feels like it could be its own game.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like a completely different genre. Only part I didn't like was underwater fighting. Underwater fighting felt dumb. I guess, like, the first boss of the world where you're, like, going up in the sky, that felt kind of obnoxious. But besides that, this whole world felt really, really, really great. I guess, I know people complain about the crab collecting, but there's such an abundance of them, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it's fine. It's a nice little way to explore Port Royale, which I'm glad they did. And there were so mmany crabs. Like, you have to get 300 out of like thousands of crabs throughout the game. It's nothing. And I did like, because I noticed there was obviously the twist with Jack, because I was trying to think like, how is Jack here? And there was that really awkward cutscene where he shows up, and then it cuts to Jack being somewhere completely different, speaking with the main villain of Pirates 3, and then cuts back to Jack being with you, and I was like, that was a really weird scene transition. And then Jack is actually like really nice, and you have some really fun moments with him, and then he turns out to be a bunch of crabs. And it's like, okay.
The only other kind of weird thing is, like, He's a Pirate is not a song in this game at all.
Yeah, we talked about that in the
we talked about it lightly.
One.
Like, just to bring it up again, it feels weird that it's not here.
I did like it. Is weird. I still think it's a rights issue, considering they got all the other major songs from all the other worlds. This one has to be something like that. I did like how they had, Yo-Ho Pirate's Life, but like an edited version of A Pirate's Life that kind of went over all of the previous films and everything. Because this is I feel like it's the only Kingdom Hearts Disney World that outright just decided to skip an entire movie. Like, it jumped from the first Kingdom Hearts 2, Port Royale is Pirates of the Caribbean 1, and then this one is Pirates of the Caribbean 3. Yeah. And Pirates of the Caribbean 2 is completely ignored entirely. Like, I feel like it's the only time they've ever done that, which is really weird, because I'm like, well, can they go back to it? They can't do it out of order, so they'd have to have, like, some weird mid-quill game. But that wouldn't make any sense. Technically, they did
Olympus out of order. Because
that's true, yeah.
Technically.
But they just did
Birth by Sleep, that's like young Herc.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the out of order stuff is that you go in Kingdom Hearts 2, you do Hades in the underworld, and then in Kingdom Hearts 3, you do the Battle of the Titans, whereas in the film, they're the opposite way around. But that's all still just covering one movie. Like, all of the Hercules stuff covers one movie. Whereas Pirates of the Caribbean specifically has movie 1 and movie 3, and just ignores movie 2 entirely. Which means, like, no Kraken fight, although you do have the giant octopus boss fight with the ship. When you have to rescue the Black Pearl. Pirates of the Caribbean 3 world, it's also the only world that I'm curious about going back and re-exploring. Because you have all of those little islands, almost Wind Waker-like, that you can go to, and you never actually need to go to any of them. The only ones you go to are Port Royale, the starting one, and that's it. You don't go to any other islands.
You can. I've seen people
go to
the other islands. Like, they have stuff, so it's like, hey, that's the main point. You go explore, have a little fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean, though. Like, in your first playthrough that level, if you're just doing story stuff, you only go to 2 islands, but there's so much more. So it's the only world that feels like you go back and explore it and find a lot of cool stuff. Plus, you can upgrade your ship and everything. Caribbean was a good world.
I didn't do much of the ship upgrading, but from what I was seeing, I'm going to go back eventually and look into it. But, like, ships are fun. Ships you can do a lot with. Yeah.
The ship race is really cool halfway through the world. And Luxord's a good... I like him as an organisation member. I didn't remember much of him in Kingdom Hearts 2, other than he was also on the Pirates of the Caribbean world in Kingdom Hearts 2. So it felt like he did a lot more here and was fun to interact with, unlike Marluxia, who basically does nothing.
For a rating, I think I put Pirates at a good 9 or 8 out of 10. It was a lot of fun. It felt really unique in comparison to the other worlds.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of an 8 or a 7. That's only because of I'm not sure which of this one or Big Hero 6 World I prefer, but I'm leaning more towards this one. So I guess we can move on to San Francisco or whatever it's called.
Ooh,
from
so
Big Hero 6.
you said you didn't watch Big Hero 6.
No, I didn't watch Big Hero 6. It's the only one I haven't seen.
I watched Big Hero 6. Big Hero 6 is one of my favorite Disney movies. Big Hero 6 is real. Okay. It's a real good film. I hated this world. This world was such a drag.
Oh, really?
So, like, this was the only world revealed after Tangled. This was one of the ones we've known about for a while.
Mm.
It's one of the shortest worlds.
It is.
There's barely any interaction. The city, I have no care to look into it. I didn't get the map until after I beat the boss of the world.
Oh, really? No,
like
this. That is it's weird because it's a bit like the Toy Story world in that there's only two main worlds. There are two main areas in this world: the bridge, which you start in, and then the city, which is massive. But yeah, unlike the Toy Story world, where you actually feel like you explore every part of the shop. You don't do that in this world. You feel like you just explore tiny bits of it that the plot needs you to. And the rest of it's just kind of there if you want to visit it or not. But with that said, I really liked the obstacle course type minigame where that kind of starts the city in, where you're jumping through all the rings and you see the other heroes running around, and you've got Hero himself is talking to you on your visor, and I really, really like the music in that section.
Yeah, music and all that's real nice, but like I just didn't like the world. Like, I know you're talking about like running the whole obstacle course. I didn't like that. It felt
I did.
Way too one track. Like, I know that's what an obstacle course is in the first place. It's point A, point B. That's the main gist of it. But it felt awkward to go through.
See, I thought it was a really nice little course that tested every single skill that you'd got up to that point, from wall running to aerial combat to rail grinding to focus jumping. I even have the ball rolling with the giant Daruma that you knock off the thing. I liked that, and I liked the it's difficult to say liked when all the other heroes get sort of trapped later on by the weird pixel cube things that I had no idea what they were. Like, and you have to go around and figure out the different ways to sort of free everybody. Like, some of them I liked, some of them I didn't. It was all pretty simple. One uses magic, one uses the ball, one uses flow motion, and one uses, like, jumping, striking down from the sky to free.
I guess the first question is, so you get more of an idea. Do you want to watch Big Hero 6 or no?
I do want to watch Big Hero 6. It was the only reason I hadn't watched it is just I haven't really had the chance to. I don't think it's on Netflix over here in the UK, and I don't have any other other than pirating. I don't have any other way of watching anything.
I guess the only thing I can say without spoiling is he kind of talks about it in the world, but Hero made these little things called microbots.
Yeah.
He could control it with his mind, and basically he got rid of them. There's no more left, and then there's this random cube thing that's similar.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case. I thought there would be stuff from the movie, like the other what's his name?
Baymax?
Yeah, that's it. The other Baymax, the first Baymax.
I did like the connection between Sora and Baymax. I felt like the combination stuff. I like that. Like, you have Baymax is like, I guess, shy personality, and that like his like out there nature.
Mm-hmm. I liked Sora's interactions with all the characters in Big Hero 6. Because, like, Pirates of the Caribbean, he only really interacts with Jack, other than a few scenes at the beginning where he talks to everyone else. And, like I said, in Frozen, he barely interacts with anybody at all. But in Big Hero 6, I felt like he actually interacts with each one of the heroes.
Yeah,
each one of the heroes,
the main inspiration to everyone.
Yeah, like everyone learns something from him.
Yeah, it's a good old plus.
Mm. And that whole scene where they're learning stuff, where you see him jumping and using he uses ice magic to freeze people. He actually uses the shooting star and has the dual guns, and then turns them into the rocket launcher. Like, I really like that cutscene. I thought it was a really cool little scene of everyone learning from him. And I like the Big Hero 6 world. Talking about it, I don't think it's as good as Pirates of the Caribbean, but I still think it's one of the better worlds. So I would give it like 7 to 6. It is quite short, but I like the music. I like how he interacts with everyone. I like the obstacle course. I was a bit I was surprised when Riku showed up as when Riku Replica shows up as the organization member. So yeah, it was good. I liked San Francisco.
Well, for an overall rating, I'll give Big Hero 6 a 6 out of 10. It's okay. You still get the whole joy of the world, but like I feel there's a lot missing. It feels way too short.
Fair
Especially
enough.
in comparison when like all the other worlds were like an hour or something. You can beat this world in 20 minutes if you wanted.
I don't think it's that short, but it is definitely It's I mean, you could beat it in an hour, whereas like Toy Story is like 3 hours and Hercules is like 3 hours, and this definitely though feels like the fact that it's like the last Disney World, pretty much. Yeah, no, in fact it is the last Disney World. I don't know why I said pretty much. Is a big sign of that, and then you go to the Keyblade Graveyard. Thank you for watching this discussion on the Disney Worlds of Kingdom Hearts 3. If you want to find out what happens in the end game, wait for the next video. And until then, I want to thank the super patron, the Duke of Dorks, as well as all of the other wonderful patrons who will be on screen right now. Hit that like, subscribe, and always remember to return to the source.